The Mac Studio was expected to be one of Apple's quiet highlights of 2026. A simple refresh, a predictable upgrade cycle, something professionals would glance at and move on. But that is not what happened. First, it slipped past WWDC. Then it slipped past the first half of the year. And now the internal target has reportedly moved to late 2026. On paper, it looks like a delay. In reality, it might be the clearest signal yet that Apple is not just updating a desktop. It is rethinking what a pro machine even means in the AI era.
The strange part is that Apple has not said much publicly. No dramatic announcement, no apology tour, no marketing reset. Just silence and shifting timelines. But behind that silence is a global pressure wave hitting every major tech company at once. NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, all racing to build AI infrastructure at a scale the industry has never seen. And when that happens, the bottleneck is not ideas or software. It is silicon. More specifically, it is memory. The exact same component Apple needs for its most powerful desktops.
This is where things get uncomfortable for Apple. According to supply chain signals and earnings commentary, memory availability has tightened while prices continue to climb. That might sound abstract until you connect it to real products. Current high-end Mac Studio configurations are showing unusually long shipping estimates, and some higher memory options have quietly become harder to find. That is not a marketing strategy. That is a supply constraint showing up in real time, product by product, order by order.
And that constraint is exactly why the next Mac Studio has been pushed back. The machine itself is not just a faster version of what exists today. It is built around the M5 generation of Apple Silicon, and that alone changes the conversation. The M5 Max, already seen in newer MacBook Pro systems, introduces a redesigned CPU layout with a stronger focus on high-efficiency performance cores, working alongside a smaller number of ultra-high performance cores. The result is not just speed, but sustained output under heavy professional workloads like rendering, compiling, and AI model inference.
But the real shift is not just CPU performance, it is the GPU architecture. Apple is reportedly integrating neural acceleration directly into each GPU core. That means instead of relying on a separate processing block for machine learning tasks, every part of the graphics pipeline becomes AI-aware. Video rendering, 3D modeling, and even real-time effects processing all gain embedded intelligence at the hardware level. In simple terms, the system stops treating AI as a separate workload and starts treating it as part of everything. Now, scale that idea up to the M5 Ultra, and things start to feel almost excessive. Apple's Ultra chips are created by fusing two Max dies together, effectively doubling everything while maintaining shared memory access. Early projections suggest the M5 Ultra could push extreme core counts and massive unified memory ceilings, potentially reaching levels that were previously reserved for server-class systems. And in a world where local AI models are exploding in size and demand, that kind of memory bandwidth is not luxury anymore. It is survival. Because here is the shift most people are missing. The Mac Studio is no longer just a creative workstation. It is becoming a local AI machine. Developers are increasingly running large language models, image generators, and custom inference systems directly on desktop hardware. And the real limitation is not raw compute. It is memory capacity and bandwidth. The M5 Ultra is being designed to remove that bottleneck for a huge portion of real-world models already in use today, not futuristic ones.
Even the design philosophy reflects that continuity over change. Do not expect a radical redesign. The same compact aluminum chassis is expected to return, along with familiar port selection like Thunderbolt, HDMI, SD card support, and high-speed Ethernet. Apple is not trying to reinvent the outside, because the outside already works. Instead, all the evolution is happening internally,
where users cannot see it but will absolutely feel it the moment workloads get heavier.
Pricing, however, tells another story. Apple is walking a tightrope between performance scaling and component inflation. The base configurations are expected to stay close to current entry points, but higher-end builds could climb sharply, especially as memory costs continue to rise globally. That means the gap between a serious pro machine and an extreme configuration may become even wider, pushing the fully loaded systems into territory that only studios, labs, and high-end developers can realistically justify.
And that brings us back to the delay itself. October 2026 is not just a postponed launch window. It is a reflection of something bigger happening across the entire tech industry. When every major company is fighting for the same silicon resources to power AI infrastructure, even Apple, one of the most vertically integrated companies in the world, cannot fully escape the ripple effects. The Mac Studio is caught in the middle of that global competition.
So the real question is not just when it arrives, but what it represents when it finally does. Because if these leaks are accurate, the M5 Mac Studio will not feel like a routine upgrade. It will feel like a shift in category. A desktop built not only for creative professionals, but for the next wave of AI-native workflows. And the longer it takes to arrive, the more pressure builds on it to redefine what a workstation actually is.